handle jobs like these is to get them done. Right? The longer that the job is sitting there, the more risk of there being a potential issue. We have an aggressive schedule, we have a safe schedule, and we believe that we can accomplish that by overlapping our phase 1 and phase 2. So while you're still tail end of phase 1, we're getting a jump start with phase 2, interior demolition, hopping ahead. And then from there, the process follows southward. Right, and then you're fully into, by the time we're fully into phase 2 and phase 1 is complete, we're already almost halfway through phase 2. Right, and eventually we go down to the final building, and once it's done, we're complete. Site has been demolished.
Yeah, I mean, I think we want to open up to questions. I just want to say that we're, as in all things with this project, we're dedicated to doing a job of the highest quality, and you can't do that unless you bring in firms of the highest quality. So, working with Tishman Construction, we identified a series of really top firms in the city, and PAL working with Waldorf, from our perspective, was the absolute top. And so I hope you get some sense of why we have confidence in this team to deliver this project. So I think any questions you have about this would be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got a few. You said there was going to be a slide of the fence. Do you have that?
I don't have a photograph of the fence construction in this, but what I was talking about was this plan. Oops, how do we get it there?
Oh,
Right. Showing on this plan, this is our fence here, fence and erosion control. It shows the location of the fence.
but you don't have.
I don't have a photograph of it, but what it is if you've seen they call them Jersey barriers. If you've seen it on the roadway construction, right? So it's a Jersey barrier, concrete Jersey barrier with a vinyl coated chain link, metal chain link, galvanized metal on top of it to a total height of 12 foot.
Okay. I got a few questions. I don't know, Andrew, can I go through them all, or do you want to go through them?
Yeah, I mean, why don't we start with the ones that are abatement and demolition related?
These So, by chance, I went to the site today, and I just wanted. So I assume the barge is no longer there because whatever the barge needs to do is at this point is completed.
Correct. The barge comes and goes.
Okay.
The barging operation is an extremely costly operation, and it's not, with them we don't have a final contract that ends lump sum dollar value. They have a rate. If they're out there with the crane, they charge us a rate. If they're out there with the barge, they charge us a rate. So when we don't need them, they pull up their spuds and they leave.
Okay. Maybe because I just was there at a bad time. I'm not going out there to look to find problems. So
the barging operation works on volume. It makes sense when they fill up enough containers, the barge will come back and it'll lift those containers onto the barge. It may stay, it may go.
Makes sense. Now on the western roadway today, I noticed there were a couple of trucks that were sitting there with their motors running, and I was there for about 10 minutes, and I know there's some law that doesn't allow idling.
Right.
Do we know?
We had a progress meeting on the project before this, and it was brought to my attention that had happened, and I will take care of it. That's not going to happen. What you saw out there, the trucks that are out there, there's two things going on. The first is the fence installation. The largest truck out there is for the fence installation, and it's got like a hoist on the back of it, right? And that's what moves these heavy 20-foot concrete barriers around. While it's lifting the fences, it's got to run. Right, my understanding is that they left the truck and everyone was standing around taking a break or whatever. It's not going to happen. We're going to put a stop to that. The other thing that's going on is in the parking lot here, there's some geothermal work being done for future. It's a test. They're doing tests for future geothermal feasibility. So there's a drilling rig there. It's vehicle mounted.
And just one more question. What is the maximum number, of employees that you will be working at the site at one time, and where will those? You mentioned something about cars. Will those people be driving their cars and parking it on the site, or will they be employees, or will they be parking somewhere else? And what the number is?
Sure. The max employees that we anticipate having on the site at any one time is approximately 75. We intend to make our employees utilize the subway system as much as possible. Like I said, our office is right over there. We intend to, if they need to come by the warehouse to pick up what they need for the day, we intend to have them park over there and take the F train to one stop directly. There are some people that come in from Long Island, that come in from New Jersey. It's our intention to try to get them to park by our office to the greatest extent possible. We don't anticipate a large number of employees parking in the motorcade. There will be there's some potential to have vehicles parked on site for certain, periods of the project. But once we're in full swing, there's really no room for parking on the site, so that's not going to happen.
Thanks.
Sure. Yeah, I think you're next.
Yeah. I could say that in my years at DEC, you never showed up as a problem actor. So, and we've got plenty of problem actors in demolition projects. But can you explain the equipment tire wash station?
Sure.
What equipment is that going to be used for? Usually that's used for trucks that are leaving the site.
Correct.
So there's no contamination leaving the site. So can you explain what happens here?
Yeah, correct. In order to move containers around the site, we do need some vehicles on site, right? These containers are roll-off style containers. Once the barge loads them onto land, we have to move them around the site. To do that, we have trucks. So there are some trucks that are going to come in. It's our intention to bring what we need into the site and leave it on the site. But when it leaves the site, we don't want it tracking anything, so we intend to wash its tires. Any vehicles that come in that need to be on site for work activities that have to leave, we want to make sure that they leave clean.
Right.
But it's not our intention to have a major operation of trucks rolling through here at all.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, have you identified any hazardous materials other than asbestos that you expect to find either within the buildings or in the substrata around the buildings?
No, not that I'm aware of. I haven't seen any reports to
Not
indicate anything other.
lead, fiberglass, anything like that?
Well, fiberglass, there's definitely fiberglass in those buildings, and it's not classified as a hazard material, but there is fiberglass in there. I'm sure there is lead paint in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of the history of the island, that the ground itself, the earth, might contain something unexpected.
I wouldn't anticipate that. The only thing I would anticipate is there are probably old petroleum storage tanks adjacent to these structures. Some of them DEC, as you know, they may have leaked. There may be petroleum there. It's part of our contract. We have rates in our contract to address those as they come up. We do that work ourselves.
That's normal. I mean, most of those are unmapped.
Correct.
I mean,
I think we're aware of
Hunters Point South, they did a whole field of them that were, nobody even knew they existed.
Right.
I think we have one of them now. Is that
We don't
right?
ex- yeah,
Do
we
we know
don't-
there's one 5,000 gallon tank?
Correct.
there?
And we anticipate maybe there are a few others, but we don't know for sure.
Things of a medical nature, possibly?
No, as HHC is supposed to have left the buildings clean.
Also,
Well, and as Eric mentioned, they are looking at specific areas like drains for trace metals.
those purposes. We're going to have them tested.
is it possible for us to tour the site safely without getting in the way of anyone?
And that's,
Larry, I know you were
The
there,
committee?
I
but
think we'd like
No,
to.
I did not go on the site.
yeah,
I was at the gate, and I know you guys, so I didn't. So if
just a thought, if some of the folks around the table have the opportunity, if not now, then later when it's actually above zero.
I think our preference is to say no, but I think that if there's a strong desire for a group, a very small contained group to do that, I think we could arrange for that. But I wouldn't want to over promise that. I mean, once we turn the building over to them and they're really working, we don't want to do anything to get in their way. But I think if that's a very strong consensus, we can accommodate a small group.
Good, thank you.
Hi, yes, I've been through the
hold
building a
on,
few
question.
times. Yeah, go on.
Judy, are you in the task force?
Not really.
Okay. Did we not agree? I'm not trying to stifle public opinion.
I hope
But
not.
we made an agreement at the last meeting in order to facilitate, because this is a working committee, that members of the public were permitted to come, but there would be no questions from the public. Is that what I recall? That's what we agreed to.
We did. I still have questions.
I still think at this point it might be a good idea to continue with that process and maybe at some other time, you know, but,
Let's take the questions from the task force first.
okay, and, you know, but that's what we agreed
If
to
we
last
could. We
meeting.
did
In
agree
order
to
to
As a
keep
group.
these meetings going,
The whole
flowing.
group
when
agreed
they're-
to it. Yeah. So are there questions from the task force?
So
And
Judy, you
Christine?
want to give the question on?
I'll wait till after they're finished. I'm sure
Christina and
they would ask my question.
Okay, so,
In the DEIS, there was an estimate about, I think 192 trees had to come down potentially, and I think that was just a guess. I don't know if that time there was a tree survey. And I know that there are laws in place that if you take trees down, you replant them, but I just don't know if they have to be on Roosevelt Island or anywhere in New York. So I heard that you're gonna preserve some. Can you give us a basic number of how many will be preserved and then what happens for replacement? I think you measure the tree.
Let me talk about that, and you're not gonna like my answer very much, because I'm gonna say that we don't really know yet. And the reason for that is because we were actually gonna go out with an arborist last week, but because of the snow and the weather conditions, we weren't able to examine the roots. That being said, you're not gonna like the answer when we come back with it either, because one of the challenges we have here is that a requirement of the site put on us by the city for safety purposes is to widen the roadway. I think most people know that the roadway that surrounds the site is not to fire department standards for emergency vehicle access to a building. And so we're widening the road, and it's only a widening of about 8 to 10 feet, I believe. But that amount of widening is going to impact a very large number of trees that sit near the perimeter of the site. So we need to do one more walkthrough with our arborist to look at the various different elevations and the impact of that widening on the trees. But as I said, I don't think we're going to come back to you with very good news about the number of trees. Now that being said, we're committed to replanting many more trees than we're taking out. But we don't have exact numbers on that yet.
It just might be a nice bonding of community and campus to replant and get together on that somewhere and give some publicity to that.
Yeah.
Just a thought. Thank you very much.
So did Goldwater leave you with a shell of the building, or are there still equipment in there, and you know, like X-ray machines and like
Yeah, there is some.
that they?
Yeah, there is some stuff that's still in there. The minor stuff, from my understanding, from a medical perspective, most of it is gone. There are still walls in there. There's still some furniture in there. There's still some X-ray equipment in there.
Almost everything is gone.
But mostly
All the furniture, not all, 99% of furniture, all medical records, anything that was loose has been removed. Lab equipment and that sort of thing. It is empty. The building's a couple of books. Yeah, what's that?
About a room full of books.
A room full of books, but the building, I mean, Judy's, it's effectively empty.
Almost.
Yeah.
Can I ask my question?
If the committee is done, we can take questions from the public, Megan?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, you can ask your question.
Okay, my name's Judy Birdie. I've been through the building a few times, to say the least. And I love I love this building, you know, and it's in absolutely perfect condition. There's one thing I've noticed the few times I've been through there, is the bathroom partitions are marble. Every single bracket holding the hallway, the wooden rail, is bronze. The doors are bronze, brass, copper. I mean, this is a gold mine for some salvage company. But all the doors are solid wood. Is there a way to salvage these so that they can be sold by a recycling company or something, not just thrown in the bin and ground up? There's so much salvageable. The windowsills there are marble. The bathroom shelves in the bathrooms are marble. I mean, this building was built like nothing's ever going to be built again. And I really worry that this is just going to go in a container in a dumpster. And this stuff is, you know, it's going to be ground up for something, but there must be 3,000 doors that are pure wood in that building. You know, thousands. And, you know, you're talking about building a green campus. You have to start with a green demolition.
Right, and